Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. What a weekend, man, in the NFC East, man. Some major matchups here, man. Unfortunately, me and The Beard's teams both took major L's in week 3. We about to get into this recap, man. It's going to be a really jam-packed show, man. We got 4 teams in 2 games, man, so that's great that we only got to break down 2 games. But let's get right into it, man. Without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, my man, your brother, the strong side to my left side, my guy, The Beard, one time in the building. How you living, fam?
You know, man, just bouncing back from a weekend of just utter defeats left and right. I was catching them. Hey, Notre Dame.
Second win now, right? Am I right?
Notre Dame came out on top, but I went 0-4 in fantasy football this week.
You know, that's a great way to look at, things on the positive side. I like that.
So, listen, that's the best part about fantasy football is if Washington gets manhandled, you still got fantasy football. Notre Dame loses on Saturday, I still got Washington. But Notre Dame won, Washington lost. I went 0-4 in fantasy in my leagues this week. CeeDee Lamb, touchdown, sealed my only hope of winning the game. Mark came back and beat me in the league that you and I are in together.
Yeah, I went and I hung out with Mo on Sunday, man, watched the Bucks game with him. And he's the commissioner of our league, for those of y'all that don't know. I was playing against him, man. He ended up, tight race the whole day between me and him. It never breached like a 10-point lead from either one of us. He ended up coming up with the lead right going into Monday night. He was up by 1 point and still had Saquon Barkley. Saquon put up like a good 15 to 20 points or something like that. He ended up beating me by a good dub or something like that. But, man, I'm confident in my team. I like what I saw out of George Kittle. I'm just trying to get that bounce back, man. I'm trying to get this, I need that fantasy bag, man. I need that fantasy bag.
I mean, Lamar Jackson is like an absolute superhuman on my fantasy team. I'm very glad that I have him. But yeah, I'm just, I'm trying to get. I feel like Tua right now, and I'm trying to.
After the hit.
I'm trying to get back into the game. Okay, I'm trying to get back into the game, get back on track.
Facts.
Because it's been brutal. But I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff that went down in the National Football League this weekend. I mean,
a bunch of upsets, man.
If the Chiefs lost to the Colts,
right?
Okay,
which I think maybe the Colts now are starting to kind of get things back right a little bit because defensively they look pretty good in that game.
Yeah, I mean, and they did it without Shaq Leonard.
Yep.
Formerly known as Darius.
Yeah, I was like, what was his name again?
I almost forgot again.
Yeah, I know.
But that happened, and then
Bills took that L.
Bills, which the Beard called, and then
Carolina had the upset.
And Jacksonville won, which Awthentik called,
Yep.
So if you guys don't know, we are live every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Parlay, where we give you guys all of these gem gifts of bets and fantasy football advice. I mean, so it was a wild weekend for sure. But shout out to everybody who's watching us right now on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and of course here on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We're going to say some quick shout outs to the lovely people in the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into some NFC East breakdowns. And man, there were some breakdowns for sure. So big shout out to James Williams, who has nothing but love for that awesome thumbnail of ours. Says, yeah, it was a rough week for everyone. Y'all faces are priceless. Big shout out to James. We appreciate you, buddy.
I had to switch it up on the thumbnail a little bit for him, man. I got to give him that vibe. It's the first week both our teams took a L, so definitely appropriate for that thumbnail.
Big shout out to Coach Taylor in the building. Appreciate you, J-Mo.
I saw Coach Taylor just said Entertainers Live. All right, I'm about to go over there right now for you. I'll pull up. I'll see you in the chat, J-Mo.
Big shout out to Sebastian, reminding everybody about the Giant Overreaction, which aired earlier today. Awthentik killed it as always.
Thank you.
Says Giants fans, if you want to cope with a loss or celebrate a win, check out Giant Overreaction. All hits, no misses on that show. Big shout out to Sebastian. We appreciate you.
Appreciate that, fam. Sac passe, man.
Big shout out to Stan. Another sac passe.
Another sac passe, mon cher.
Says he got the giveaway in the mail, so glad to hear that. If you guys don't know, we give away something every Thursday night, so make sure you guys tune in this Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big shout out to Stan, who won the giveaway last Thursday. Mr. Mini
Now,
Guy
wait,
is in the
but
building.
before you move on from my Haitian kinfolk one time, right? I got to tell you about something real funny me and Sebastian was talking about on Instagram. So he posted this meme, right? And it was like, in the Haitian culture, especially back in the day, I don't know what it's like today, right? But like Haitians are known for giving some of the best ass whoopings, okay? Straight up. Like when you get in trouble, the Beard, you came up with, how my mom was, right?
I saw the meme.
So I reposted the meme, right? And there's a thing in the Haitian culture called à genoux, which is like, go look at that wall, get on both your knees, and get ready for this ass whooping I'm about to give you one time, right? And
so that's basically what the Eagles said to Washington.
That's basically what happened. But Sebastian shared that joy. That joy had me crying because I forget about some things within my culture when I was a kid, especially, and to see that, it really, really was like a flashback, bro, to my childhood. My pops used to hit me with that same joint, like, à genoux. It's like, go in your room, go look at the wall, and I'll be in there in a second to deal with you. And you knew what it was. You knew you had to keep your hands out, get your hands smacked with a belt or something like that. Yeah, it was a bit crazy in my household when I was a bit younger.
Yeah, it was. Listen, it was interesting to have you and then Mr. Alvarez, Tito on the other side. But see, the difference with your crib and Alvarez's was the Alvarez had the big bay window in the front.
Facts.
So you would see Tito chasing Chris across.
Through the window. Hey, ain't a good ass whooping ain't never hurt nobody in a major way. It make you a better person, man.
Yeah. Big shout out to Mr. Mini Guy dropping the biceps in the chat. If you guys are new here to Awthentik and The Beard, drop some biceps in the chat. Let us know you're here. Big shout out to the heavyweight champion of the world. Ooh. Says DJ is our quarterback. Yeah,
facts. I mean, we can't change that.
Big shout out to Lucas checking in from Australia. We appreciate you, brother.
Facts.
John Kim is in the building. What's going on?
John Kim, man.
Good to see you. Good to see
you
you.
Pulling up. I saw him in Entertainers Chat a couple of days ago. I ain't seen him in a minute, man. Good to see you in the building, brother.
And Marjorie is in the building. If you guys don't know, Marjorie comes in and drops Marge bombs for Awthentik and The Beard every stream. We appreciate you as always. Tom's World, new name to me. Daniel needs a speedy wide receiver, not a 50-ball wide receiver who can't get open.
I definitely feel you on that. Yeah.
I see Brian in the building. I see Sabrina in the building, holding us down as always. Juice Jones in the building, Juice? Dropping biceps. Appreciate you stopping by. Who else we got in the building? Big shout out to the fellas at Ref the District. Yes, you guys aren't subscribed to Ref the District. They do some awesome content. Big shout out to those guys, always showing us love, and definitely appreciate you guys stopping by. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets is in the building. And then I got to give a big shout out to my homie Paul, the Philly Flipper. He came into the Over the Years stream last night and dropped me a $9 super chat. And he was like, here's $1 for every sack of Carson Wentz.
How many did he end up with?
9 sacks. He gave me a $9 super chat.
Shout out Philly Flipper one time.
And big shout out to Benny, hold me down as the Washington Commanders here at the Awthentik and The Beard chat.
Yes,
appreciate you. Old man Rob, James Funk, checking in from Facebook, holding us down over there. We appreciate each and every one of you guys watching us across all of the platforms. And I got to give one more shout out before we go into this game, and it's just so fitting. Big shout out to the homie Paulie. Says, Commanders recap. The streets want a body. Hail to the W.
Big facts, man. Big facts. All right, so you ready to get into these games, big dog?
I got my spiral notebook. I'm ready.
All right, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. I'm hyped, bro. I want to hear like your thoughts on your game, especially. We're going to start with that one first for sure. And I want to hear what your thoughts are on Daniel Jones and the New York Giants and the way this offense is clicking or ain't clicking. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. I got a couple of nuggets for this Washington game I'm going to start off with. We're going to see how this one goes, man, but let's get to it. (24-8), the Eagles take the victory over the Commanders, man. This was a very ugly game, especially in the first half, man, for the Washington Commanders. Struggled extremely with the passing game. I'm going to start this one off with a couple of things that I noticed in this game that were very alarming for me, and I'm not even a Washington Commanders fan. First 7 possessions of the game for the Washington Commanders. Punt, 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 fumble, punt, punt, punt. You are not going to win no games like that.
Nobody says punt like Awthentik does.
I looked up, man, and at the end of the first half, Carson Wentz had been sacked 6 times, and he had 3 completions, bro. And I'm not putting this on Carson Wentz completely. The Beard and myself, we talked about this off air a little bit. He was telling me about how he was tuned into JT O'Sullivan on the Quarterback Schools Live today, and he got to ask him a question about Carson Wentz and how many of these sacks are actually his fault or how much we could blame on the offensive line. He said JT O'Sullivan said he hasn't even watched any Carson Wentz at all this year. For me, it's about 50-50, man. You know, you got to put some of this on the quarterback for sure, but the offensive line definitely didn't look good in this game, man. Now, the big shining star in this game to me was on the opposite side of the sidelines for the Commanders one time. This was an Eagles wide receiver, and this man went completely berserk. And we talked about this in our preview. We talked about the man to look out for was going to be Devonta Smith, man. And Devonta Smith showed up in a major way. That's him doing his best impersonation of Randy Moss on the bottom left of the screen right there. He had 169 yards receiving, 8 receptions, 21 yards per reception.
That's insane. That's something you see with somebody who has 3 catches. 8 catches.
8 catches. Averaging 21. He had 12 targets on the day, so they really made it a major a point to put him and utilize him within this game plan against the Washington Commanders. I don't know if they saw a weakness in the secondary that they wanted to exploit. Also had a big game, man. A.J. Brown, he definitely had a big game as well. But this is a note that I put down, and I wouldn't call this a nugget. I would call this like the barbecue sauce that comes with the nugget, right? I noticed that Jalen Hurts was throwing to Devonta Smith in tight windows early in this game. He had 2 incompletions on the first 2 possessions where he tried to back shoulder Devonta Smith, and they weren't completed, but I was like, wow, he's looking at the one-on-one matchup, and he's giving his wide receiver a chance to, I wouldn't call them like your typical like 50-50, kind of catches, but they were those ones where it's just one-on-one, and hey, I'm going to give my guy an opportunity to try to make a play. One of them, the defender had his back to the quarterback, and Devonta tried to turn and kind of make like a back shoulder catch with the defender, not really seeing the ball coming by his ear. It was incomplete. But for me, it was like, wow, you could see the emphasis on trying to get Devonta Smith involved in this game. Now, this is the 3rd consecutive week that the Philadelphia Eagles have put up 24 points in the first half. I told people, don't look at that Detroit Lions game. You could tell who watched that game and who didn't watch that game and looked at the highlights and was like, I see Giants fans, not trying to give Jalen Hurts his props, right? And they go, oh, he struggled against the Detroit Lions. Look at, I believe it was 38-35. Listen, man, that game was a blowout. It was a blowout. In the 4th quarter, the Detroit Lions came back in the game. They taking care of business in the first half in a major way, kind of the opposite of my New York Giants. We're going to get to that. But that's what they're doing. They're taking care of business in the first half, and then you just seeing a lot of on the sidelines, by the 3rd quarter. Game
Batman
1.
Batman capes.
We saw a Batman cape in this one, and you tweeted me, or I think you texted me right when that happened, like, man, they got the James Brown Batman cape for Devonta Smith, man. And that's what it is, man. The 44-yard reception in double coverage that you see at the bottom left hand of the screen here. I mean, just an incredible catch by Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts having the confidence in him in double coverage to go up and get it like that, man. And then Smith catches the touchdown with no time left on the clock before the half. I mean, just an incredible performance out of Devonta Smith. I don't want to, talk too much about your game because I know you got a bunch of left and right turns that y'all missed, and the GPS was like, we're updating, trying to find you a new route. Ended up not even getting to the ETA. We had to make a U-turn and head back home. But let me know what you saw in this game out of your offense, out of your defense, and what was the problems here, why you couldn't stop a guy like Devonta Smith, and why it just didn't work for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, the GPS got thrown out the window. Literally 9 out of, well, not 9 because I gave you like 5 keys, 5, stops on the roadmap. 4 out of the 5, they failed. Not only did they failed miserably. And a big shout out.
What were your roadmap asterisks that you had?
Okay, as I pull up my roadmap bulletins, I'm gonna give a big shout out to Bluegrass Picker for the $10 super chat. Says props to the graphics department. Wow.
Appreciate you, brother.
Shout out Bluegrass Picker. We appreciate you, my man. All right, so I'm just going to briefly go through these really fast since Awthentik asked. Okay, number 1, protect Carson Wentz. That obviously didn't happen. I mean, yes, please bring up the sound effects. Shout out to the sound effects department. Okay, run the ball effectively and early. Force at least 2 turnovers. Third down defense. Eliminate the big play. And get to Jalen Hurts. That's it.
That's it.
I mean, if they would have done all those things, I think we might have had a chance to win the game. Am I right or am I right?
I had to call my Dukes like, Mom, we got a U-turn. We got a flat tire, man. There's no jack, no spare. We got to find an Uber to get back home. We leaving the car in the emergency lane, all of that.
Listen, the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't, I always try to look at things as a fan of the game and respect the game as a whole. I'm not one of these fans, and neither you'll notice that with Awthentik and myself. We really try to look at the game of football outside of just being a fan of these teams. The Philadelphia Eagles are easily the best team in the NFC East. I mean, excuse me, the NFC, the entire conference.
Easily.
There's no Green Bay, Tampa Bay. Neither one of those teams are really clicking yet. And then same with the Rams. To me, the Eagles look all around. They're so well-rounded, everything about them. And listen, that whole notion of we're just going to sit back and make Jalen Hurts throw the football, that ain't working no more, Jack.
You're right.
You could throw that game plan out the window with the GPS because Jalen Hurts will kill you with his arm and with his legs now. That's for certain. It was just you can't. Now that it's more difficult to game plan for the Eagles, and this other thing too is the Eagles know that they not even where they supposed to be, where they can be. I was listening to Jalen Hurts give the locker room speech, right before we went live, and he was talking about basically saying do not be content. We are about ready. We got work to do. This is an everyday situation. You got to put in the work every day. There's no off days. If we want to get to where we think we can be, where we know we can be, we got to go to work. And to me, it's just it's tough right now. It's tough. And we going to talk about
one quick point, and we'll get to Paulie's super chat there. You can keep it up. Now, the thing about Jalen Hurts and him throwing the ball, you can tell that Washington tried to take his legs away from him in this game. I can't remember what the rushing yards were. I think it was 20 rushing yards on 9 carries or something like that. So they found a way to eliminate the big plays as far as Jalen Hurts with his legs. And in return, man, he really, really, really made Washington pay with that pass attack for sure.
Big shout out to the homie Paulie for the $2 super chat. Says somebody take away Scott Turner's controller. We gonna talk about that for sure. And big shout out to the homie OBX Picker for his $1.99 super chat. He's super stoked because his Dolphins are 3-0. He said, come on over to the Fins. The water's fine.
Yeah, I know y'all just dodged a little bit of a bullet over there with that. What was it, a tornado, a hurricane or something that was hitting
Well, he's in North Carolina, but he is a Miami Dolphins fan. But I will tell you,
too much swimming and sea.
I'm just gonna give you a couple of quick stats before I get to my main point, and then I'm gonna close this whole thing out with
Let's get
Durant. First of all, okay, everybody wants to fire Ron Rivera, fire Scott Turner, and fire Jack Del Rio. Okay, the problem is if you fire all 3 of those guys, we ain't got nobody to coach the team. So ain't nobody going to get fired. Maybe one of them becomes a scapegoat at some point if this continues. I mean, obviously, all 3 of them. I'm a big Ron Rivera guy, but I would be lying to you if I didn't think that we're hitting some sort of, patch in the road that you either, fix the spare tire or you ain't coming back from. You going to have to do one of these on the side of the road, okay?
You're right.
Because it feels that way, and it's just there's a lot going on. But in this game, the Washington offensive line, we gave up 9 sacks, 6 in the first half. Okay, 6 sacks in the first half.
That's awful.
4 in the first quarter. Now, obviously, everybody wants to say, "Oh, well, it's all Carson Wentz's fault." It ain't all Carson Wentz's fault. There's Carson Wentz had some moments in this game that we can all agree on were not very good. Okay, But you can't put all 9 sacks on. Then they're like, oh, well, if we put in Taylor Heineke, he's more elusive.
Right.
Okay,
he'll be able to evade the rush.
He'll be able to evade the rush. Listen, what you trying to put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound?
Right.
Okay, like that. You're not going to get anywhere as a franchise, as a team.
And think about the things that you remove when you do that. Okay, maybe you get an increase in pocket presence, maybe by a tick, right? You're going to lose all the other characteristics that Carson Wentz brought to this offense in week 1 that made it look so good.
He can't throw the ball. He can't throw the ball. You can get away from the guys, but if you can't throw the ball and you get away from them, it defeats the whole purpose of getting away from them. But like as a fan base, you have to stop looking at trying to avoid a problem with a temporary solution. You can't avoid problems. You can't
trying to put a Band-Aid
problems
on a bullet wound. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You can't avoid problems in the National Football League. You have to fix them. Okay? Yep. So obviously the big problem here was that offensive line, and Carson Wentz we'll say Carson Wentz is responsible for half of those sacks, okay? It's all on the offensive coordinator. We had 50 yards at halftime. 50 yards at halftime.
And 3 completions.
We only ran the ball 22 times in this entire game, right? 6 of 17 on third down. We held Philly to 72 yards rushing. Only 2.4 yards per carry. But Philadelphia scored 24 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
It's over. Now, when I was talking in the pregame episode, I kept telling everybody, listen, we got to run the ball early and effective, okay? I don't know what happened, why they decided to not run the ball, because it's not like you were down early. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. Mm-hmm. This is how it breaks down. And then people say, oh, well, excuse me, Antonio Gibson can't run the ball. And I can't wait for Brian Robinson to get back. And, Antonio Gibson can't do this and can't do that. Let me tell you how effective this run game was at times and then just easily abandoned. Possession number 1, first play of the game for the Washington offense. Curtis Samuel, 15-yard run, okay? Second possession, 0 runs. Third possession, Antonio Gibson, first play, first down run, 5 yards. Second down, 5 yards. Then you get a nice pass to Curtis Samuel. You see how that run pass opens up?
Yeah.
What do they do on third down? Pass the ball again on 3rd and 5, sack. It's over. Possession 4, first play, Antonio Gibson, 4-yard run. When you're getting 4 and 5-yard runs, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Why are you stopping
second down and third down manageable situations?
What happens after that? After that 4-yard run? Carson Wentz, sack, fumble. Okay, so you're avoiding the run is what your offensive line can do. The pass game is not working. Possession 5, first play, Antonio Gibson, 7 yards. Jonathan Williams, 6 yards on 3rd and 1 to get the first down. Okay, so we're wheeling and dealing here. What do they do next? 3 straight passes, all incomplete, punt the ball. Possession 6, Antonio Gibson, first play, first down, run, 11 yards. What do they do after that? 3 straight passes, 2 incompletions, 1 sack.
You really breaking this down, yeah.
Possession 7. We have the ball back with 2 minutes and 56 seconds left in the first half. It's 17-0. What do? They go 3 and out. All passes. 2 minutes and 56 seconds, 2 timeouts, all passes.
I see why Paulie sent in that super chat. He wasn't playing, man.
And then Philly gets the ball back. They go 11 plays, 88 yards in 1 minute and 57 seconds. The game is now 24-0 halftime.
You out of here.
And then it's like, okay, so the defense did play well, right? That's it, the 24 points in that second quarter. But the big plays Huge again. Plays. How many plays do you think the Philadelphia Eagles had of 20 yards or more?
I'm going to say 5.
6 plays. It should have been 5 because that one Devonta Smith catch, which wasn't a catch, and Ron Rivera failed to throw the red flag.
Just a hair late, too. And shout out to Jalen Hurts, man. He rushed them back to the line and got them set and snapped the ball. That's a veteran move right there.
It was the offense just seems to be very lost. And what's crazy is that first possession in the first game, it was like Scott Turner just like pulled everything out of the bag, and
Yep.
like it was like, wow, what is this?
I asked you,
And
I was
then-
like, where's this coming from? Like,
and
this,
then
I
all
don't
of a
remember
sudden-
Scott Turner being no offensive mastermind.
All of a sudden, it's just gone. It's like, I had it for one possession, and then it's just like, so there's some obvious disconnect between the coaches and the players, and we talked about this a little bit on last Tuesday and last Thursday. I feel like we're gonna be talking about this all season. But defensively, I like Jamin Davis. I think they're finally realizing like they need to blitz this guy. Like just let him loose. He got another sack in this game. He leads the team in sacks, 3 sacks in 3 games. I think which is like, obviously like they were early in the season, but I think it's like maybe tied for 7th in the league or something like that. So, 3 sacks in 3 games for a guy who was getting thrown under the bus for the first 2 weeks of the season. And then, Benjamin St. Juste played pretty well. Kendall Fuller, Jesus.
Yeah.
That dude was getting
St.
it
Juste
was
made
not,
a bunch of good plays in the first half, too.
Yeah, it was not looking good for Kendall Fuller. And, Cam Curl, God bless his soul, came back. And on that Dallas Goedert screen for a touchdown was one of the worst tackle misses I've ever seen in my life. And they show, if you see it from like the overhead camera, it's like he just torpedoed into a hole. And Dallas Goedert was like 3 yards to the right of him. Like he was just like, I don't have any reason for that one, how it happened, but it happened. So it just, for me, there's no identity in this team. And then I think everybody is like, oh, well, when Brian Robinson comes back and we're going to run the ball. I mean, I just broke it down for y'all. Antonio Gibson is more than capable of running the ball.
Yeah.
Will Scott Turner change his offense? I mean, and then we talk about the sacks. It's like there's 7 step drops, pass plays.
Yeah, it's hard
And
to
your
get
offensive
depth
line can't block.
Exactly. It's hard. Wide receivers can't get depth. New York Giants are struggling with that same exact problem. And the interesting thing about this is if you would have told me before this game Washington was going to average 4 yards per rush and the Eagles averaged 2.4, I would have never thought the score would have looked like this.
Never. And that's why I started the whole thing off with, listen, that whole game plan about let's make Jalen Hurts throw the ball, out the window, Jack. It's gone. It ain't going to work no more against this team. So, big shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. They played. It's an interesting game. Think about it. 24-8 is the final score. They scored all 24 points in the second quarter.
Yep.
I mean, that's back-to-back first halves. Yeah, it's high fives, giggles, and Batman capes on the sideline the rest of the way through. So it's very weird game for me, and I got a weird feeling from it. And you know what? Shout out to the Commanders fans for not showing up to the damn game. Okay,
yeah, it was full.
It was a Philadelphia crowd again. And listen, there was all this talk about how things were changing and moving in the right direction as far as fans at the game, and it just died. One loss, it died.
But
and
you
now
know what it is out here, man.
There's a lot of Philly
had
fans.
asked me about this as well too. He was like, "How come there's so many Philly fans in the stands?" Mid game, he asked me that. And I said, well, man, it's like, for one, people are not that invested in football out here anymore. I think that the name change hurt a lot of the support for the team for a lot of the OGs, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that live around here. You got to take into consideration, too, the Ravens kind of coming here, stealing a couple of fans when they were first entering the league. And then D.C. being like a melting pot for where people come here to do work. So you get a lot of people that come from out of town to come live here to, expand on their career. A lot of these people are rooting for different teams. And I was telling them, like, yo, when I go to the Giants games, it's kind of like that, too. It's about 50-50, 60-40 for the Giants fans, And you go to a Dallas game out here, man, you're going to see maybe more Cowboys fans than Washington fans out there.
Yeah, so it's just, there's a lot going on. And we were so hopeful in that first game. And shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars look like a very much improved team.
Definitely,
and the Detroit Lions are going to compete for that division, if you ask me.
It looks like it.
We played 3 really good teams.
And then, I noticed a lot of the national media is down on y'all. They're like, Shannon Sharp was saying it's like Washington's no good. And I'm just like, I don't think y'all really looking at the games for real and seeing how the matchups are being presented, because Detroit, that's a difficult matchup. When you have your defense struggling the way Washington's defense is struggling, then you got to go up against these powerhouse offenses 2 out of your 3 games. And, I mean, Jacksonville was definitely no slouch. They put up a good amount of points on the board, too, 20-something in that game. It makes it real difficult for your defense. The strange part about this game, too, is that Washington wins the time of possession by like 5 minutes. But it just didn't seem like it. It felt like Philadelphia controlled this game and had the ball, and Jalen Hurts was on the field for the most part of this game. You got to find a way. And I think the number one part of your roadmap that I was really invested in coming into this game was the turnovers. You got to find a way to present some turnovers, get some takeaways, man, or you're not going to have a chance against these high-powered offenses.
1 turnover forced in the first 3 games by the Washington defense.
That ain't it. That ain't it.
So we just got to hope, Chase Young, I think, is eligible to come back here soon. So it's just, my man, Paulie. Shout out to Paulie for the $2 super chat. Says Saturday afternoon offense don't work on Sundays. And I mean,
bars.
Listen, that definitely feels like what we're looking at right now. And then as in regards to FedEx, he said, we just going to change the name of FedEx to the Airbnb Field. Your team is coming to play here in Washington, D.C. Feel free to show up to FedEx Field and root your team on like it's a home
We
game.
even got a cleaning service, so you could just come through, trash the whole spot, when the game roll out, we'll take care of it, right?
Absolutely insane. So, listen, I am not one to give up. I have seen people already on Twitter, and I'm going to close this out with this, okay?
Yeah.
I've seen people already on Twitter calling for, all the coaches to be fired. Then they're like, they're photoshopping Byron Leftwich and Sean Payton in Commander outfits, okay? And then they're like, we're going to draft CJ Stroud. And in my mind, I'm just like, you got to be a certain kind of stupid, okay, to think that you see all of these problems we got right now here, defense, offense, and we just going to draft a quarterback and bring in a new head coach and everything's going to be fine and dandy. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but that happened about 3 years ago. And look where we are right now. Y'all want to do the same damn thing. So, and then last but not least, and I think this is going to be a perfect transition for a question that we have.
Yep.
They want Taylor Heineke to be the quarterback. Somebody on Twitter actually said, the Commanders would be 3-0 if Taylor Heineke started this season.
I mean, come on, man. If Taylor, and I'm not a hater of Taylor Heineke. I supported him big time when he came in the playoff games. Ended up starting the next season. I thought he did some things well, man. He's a very mobile quarterback as far as within the pocket and being able to extend plays and all that stuff. But let's keep it real here, man. I mean, it doesn't seem like the quarterback position is what's going to make the changes for the Washington Commanders. There's a lot of other things that need to come into play here, man. For one, it's got to be run blocking. It's got to be pass protection. And then this defense. This defense cannot allow teams to come out here. You played 3 quarters okay, but like I said, I think that's because the Eagles literally took their foot off the gas. But that you talking about Taylor Heineke, let's go ahead and get to this question one time. People in the chat, I want to know what your thoughts are on this too. This is going to be a ranking scale type of question here one time. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of an upgrade through 3 games, we'll say, is Carson Wentz over Taylor Heineke? Chat, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, how much does Carson Wentz give you an upgrade over Taylor Heineke? I'll start this off and I'll let you get a little bit of rant on it, okay? For me, I'm going to say you get about, and this could kind of give you a way to rank the scaling, right? Rank them within that 1 to 10, okay? So for me, I think that Taylor Heineke, if he was, if I'm an IMDb critic and he's a movie, I'm giving Taylor Heineke, he's kind of like a funny hood movie that wasn't shot that well, okay? 3 strikes, something like that, old school vibes. I'm going to say Taylor Heineke is like a good 5.9, okay? That's where I would rank Taylor Heineke. It's like if you ever seen like How High, or something like that, a movie that, it got some classic vibes to it, but it wasn't shot that well. You're not going to get everything you want out of it. Now, Carson Wentz is kind of a bit of the same for me. If Taylor Heineke is like a 5.9, I'm going to say Carson Wentz is like, he gives you a 1 bump above that. I'm going to say he's like a 7. I'm going to say he's a good 7. Now, we just saw him in his worst game, so let me just pump the brakes. I'm going to say a 6.9, because if we breach that 7, that means it's a good movie. Right now, it's not really a good movie. 2 straight weeks of bad football. So for me, Taylor Heineke gives you, he's about a 1 tick under a guy like Carson Wentz.
Listen, this is the alley-oop. I love this, okay? So we're going to go movies, okay? I love that analogy of that sort of genre of
3
movies,
strikes,
right?
hood movies decide. The Wash.
Immediately when you bring it up to IMDb, I'm thinking, okay, Taylor Heineke, we go on movies. Taylor Heineke is he's like a Sharknado. Okay, a really bad movie. Okay, but got the cult following. Like
right.
got a whole bunch of weirdos and crazy people. Like, oh my God, there's a new
Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
vibes.
like hey, okay, Sharknado. Like everybody it's like a serious movie.
Yeah.
But it's not. And that's Taylor Heineke in a nutshell. Okay, and he's got the cult following. He's got the Heineke hive. That's Sharknado right here. That's what Taylor Heineke is. You want to know how much of an upgrade Carson Wentz is over Taylor Heineke? 10.
Okay, so a
10. He's a 10.
No, you sicing it.
No.
You want to know why this might not be a 10 for Carson Wentz? A 10 movie has to have a fantastic ending. Are you seeing a fantastic ending for Carson Wentz right now?
I mean, listen, the movie ain't right itself yet.
It hasn't. The script is here. We're hoping that the actors can come in here and do a good job. But
we just do the pilot.
The
pilot is the first game of the season.
Do you have a 10 movie?
No, I'm not necessarily saying it's a 10 movie. I'm just saying it's a 10 upgrade from Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke's a -1 or -4.
No, listen, Taylor Heineke is Sharknado, okay? Carson Wentz is Shawshank Redemption.
I can't. Whoa. This is on the internet, man. This is going to the public.
The redemption part just hasn't happened yet, okay? Carson Wentz is still in the cell.
Are you saying that Carson Wentz is Neo?
No, I said Shawshank Redemption.
I know, but we're talking about 10 movies here. The Matrix that's up there. For me, it's a 9.4. I don't got no 10 movies. You can't.
Yeah, there's no 10 movie. There's no 10 movie. Okay.
But are you saying that Carson Wentz is a 10 over him?
Okay, so we'll say, all right. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that to let you know how I feel, okay? But if I had to put it into a number, I'm just saying he's Carson Wentz is Shawshank Redemption, okay? He's still in the cell. He's chipping away, okay? He's chipping away.
First he said the Bears drunk. Them typos is crazy. Oh, that's wild.
He's just chipping away right now, all right? If I had to give you a realistic number, okay? I'm going to say Taylor Heineke was a 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is a 7. So he's basically a little bit
Taylor
more
Heineke
than
was
2 times. He's 2 times Taylor Heineke.
So I understand your scale. What is a Jared Goff?
Well, let's see. This is.
Come on, man.
Are we scaling the quarterbacks or are we scaling the upgrade?
Right now, we're scaling the quarterback. You said he's a 3. You said one's a 7. I just wanted so I know your scale. Where you got Jared Goff? Look,
okay,
I threw a wrench in.
All right, so we're gonna bring things back down a little bit. Okay,
back down to earth.
So we're gonna go.
I
Carson
took
Wentz
from a 10 to a 7. I'm about to have him at like a 5.
Carson Wentz is a 6, and Jared Goff's right there with him. But Jared Goff is on his way up to a 7. The way he's been playing so far this year.
Benny said, "Dirty Dancing."
That's what I said, Bill Deke. Are we rating the quarterbacks?
We're doing a little bit of both.
Doing both.
Listen, if you use the scale right from 1 to 10, you can answer both of those questions by just rating the quarterbacks 1 to 10.
Very true.
And it says that Carson Wentz is a 3-notch, breach over Taylor Heineke, according to what the Beard. I talked him down from that 10 a little bit. I said what I say. He's about a 1. He's about a 1-notch higher right now. Because look, for me, a good movie got to be good throughout, man. Right now, Carson Wentz has not been good throughout. He's had 2 games of pretty average. I'll say 1 bad game. Let me not say that because dating back to week 2, he still had a pretty decent game. And week 1, lights out as far as the yards go. Had the big mistake with the interception on the 10-yard out route and whatnot, and then the interception from Trayvon Walker on the screen pass. We really can't put that all on him. So I like your scale. I talked you back down to earth. I like it.
You did. Carson Wentz this is a movie. I am living the Washington Commanders movie right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm living it. This is like watching a movie with your girl or your wife, and it gets to the point where all of a sudden, like, oh, what's up? They're singing now, and you got to go through a whole scene of singing. Like, nobody really wants to watch the singing part of a movie. Like, can I, that's where we're at right now. We're at the part where it's like you already know what's going to happen in a movie, sort of movie. You're just like, oh, here comes the part where, the bad guy is going to, mess around with the girl and the good guy is going to run away in the rain or the car breaks down,
So you're saying, like, we got a good movie on our hands, right? But we some dudes, right? We some dudes and, like, here comes the romantic part, the love story that we really don't care
listen,
about.
I love a good, love story.
I love a good love story.
But right now, this is not a love story. This is like The Notebook, and the guy's just writing letters. The Washington Commanders fans are just writing letters, just waiting for that time,
I'm glad I could talk you down a little bit. I like this question from Sabrina right here. I want to address this one too. What else changed on Washington from last year to this year other than the quarterback? The wide receiver department with Jahan Dotson, that was an upgrade for sure. And I mean, anything else?
Curtis Samuel.
Oh, Curtis Samuel coming back and also being implemented in these game plans too and looking more like his regular self. Terry McLaurin now kind of looks like he's drawing too much attention. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting situation right now, and we just kind of have to work through things until,
Monique loved a good love story one time. All girls love The Notebook. It's the best movie ever. I watch it. I'm just like, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. Ain't nothing too crazy. And he with the dirty dance.
Look what we done.
Carson Wentz is like so Taylor Heineke's like a good hood movie, like Three Strikes. Y'all probably don't even know about Three Strikes. Look up Three Strikes. Taylor Heineke's like a soul plane. That's what Taylor Heineke's like. Carson Wentz is like, I got to do this on a hood movie scale. You know what I'm saying? Carson Wentz is, I was going to give him the Juice vibes, but that might be a little bit too much. Carson Wentz is, okay, so Taylor Heineke is like Three Strikes kind of vibes, and Carson Wentz is more like The Wash. He's The Wash. It's like, you got some good characters in there. Not a great movie right now, though. I got to keep it funky with you, man. Especially the last sample size that we saw. But Formula Fitness, How High? Yeah, I love How High. Me and my girl can watch How High and literally like know every line. Like that's one of our favorite flicks, man. Bad ratings on IMDb, cult classic. I don't know, man. It's bad acting and
this isn't B-ball, B-Rad or J. What is it called? J-Rock. This isn't B-ball, J-Rock.
Yo, Redman is classic in that movie, man. I love me a good. How High is such a fantastic movie, right up there with Half Baked for me. But this can we put a button on the Washington game right here?
We can put a button, put a ribbon, put the little cherry on top of whipped cream, put it all on there. Listen, it's back to the drawing board, and you'll see Thursday. Listen, you want to talk about it? They don't make drawing boards big enough. This is the drawing board is a city building here in Washington D.C. and somebody's getting ready to do a mural. Okay.
Maybe some fan support would help, man. New York Giants, man, we was in all white on Monday Night Football. The crowd was cranking. I know we didn't get the win, but
you know what's coming this weekend for the Washington Commanders, right?
Primetime game?
All black, baby.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. Somebody tagged me on them Saints helmets they about to wear this upcoming week.
Those are like the Hydro Dip ones in London, man.
That's the best helmet I've seen in the NFL. I'm going to keep it. And remember, I was just trashing their logo just on Sunday on the parlay. They did like the little mini, you know how like in college when you make hits, they give you the little, like the Buckeyes had the one that they would run, or the Seminoles had the little, whatever that is. What is that? It's a Seminole? Is that what that is? That little arrow? What do they call that little arrow?
It's a warhead? No, not a warhead. It's
you know what I'm talking about, though.
I know what you're talking
Indian
about.
arrow. You would get a bunch of those. And now they got the Saints logo running down the middle. Man, them best helmet I've ever seen. Extremely fire, man. I loved it. But I think Washington fans got to pump the brakes on all this Heineke talk, man.
Yeah, pump the brakes on a lot of stuff. It's a spear. Paulie says it's a spear.
It's a spear, yeah. I mean,
arrowhead.
That sounds like an arrowhead. That sounds more right. Yeah, that sounds more right. A spear is not, that's on the Shaka vibes one time. But let's get to this Manscaped read, man, and then get to this commercial break, and we'll come back. We'll do these Giants joints. But let's get to this Manscaped read one time. Bring in some fire one time for this backdrop for this Manscaped read one time. So support today for Awthentik and The Beard, man, the best division in football, is brought to you by Manscaped. I need to rock that. I need to bring out that Manscaped shirt. I still ain't even pulled it out the package yet.
That shirt is super soft, bro.
Super soft. I like that. But Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Bars.
Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code AATB. I'm trying to think how you would do that in like, like when you do like the Army, you be like Atlanta, Tampa.
Alpha, Tango, Bravo.
My man, see, that's why you here, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Top Gun, baby.
But shout out to
Maverick
Manscaped, man.
and Goose.
Maverick and Goose. I still need to catch that new Top Gun movie. I heard it was real fire. But get your 20% off and free shipping with that code AATB at manscaped.com. worldwide, Craig. You know what it is, man. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Keep your ears peeled during this commercial break. This is going to be a take from Colin Cowherd that I heard this morning on Daniel Jones, and then we're going to get off into this Cowboys at New York Giants matchup. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Well, his receivers are dropping the ball. The receiving crew's not good. Lamar Jackson would be MVP today. Great quarterbacks make stuff happen. Go ahead and keep blaming the offensive line. Last year, Lamar Jackson lost Ronnie Stanley, 3 running backs. And Baltimore was the #1 seed before Lamar Jackson got hurt. Josh Allen came into this league. He still doesn't have a dependable running game. Still, the offensive line the first 3 years was a mess. He got into the end zone. Daniel Jones is one of those guys where if the protection is perfect, where nobody drops any passes, when it's a clean pocket, when everything's lined up and every player's lined up, he's okay. It's like when you hire a babysitter. Yes, if my children were always well behaved when they were 5, it would be perfect. But one of them will light something on fire. One will bring a big snake into the basement. If you're a babysitter and have 5-year-old kids, it's not going to be perfect unless they go to bed by the time you get there. So you better get a good babysitter. It's the same with a quarterback. Make it happen. That's what you need at quarterback. Yes, Brian Daboll's getting the most out of him. Yes, receivers drop the ball. Yes, outside of left tackle, the offensive line is dubious. Look at what Lamar's facing week to week. Get into the end zone. Lamar does. 3 running backs hurt. Left tackle gone. Best receiver leaves. Right now, he'd be the MVP. Last year was the #1 seed before he got hurt.
Now, listen, man, that is an extreme take from Colin Cowherd. I think there's some good in there. There's some bad in that take. But I heard that this afternoon, right before I was going on air to do the Giant overreaction, and it just made me think about, like, 2 ways that people look at the quarterback position, right? You got, like my homie Stan, shout out my homie Stan one time. You got people that look at the quarterback position into the future. They want to have a guy there that they know is going to be able to get them to a Super Bowl. And then you got other people look at the quarterback position like, is he a problem that we need to fix? You talked about it with Taylor Heineke being a Band-Aid kind of replacement for Carson Wentz. But also you talked about if you guys were to draft a quarterback like C.J. Stroud, now you bringing in a rookie to start on a team that might not even be completely ready. Not even might not be. A team that is not completely ready, especially when speaking on the New York Giants. Now, I think that this might not have been the right week for Colin Cowherd to come out with that take. And something's going on in my comment section over here. I don't know about you, The Beard, but my comment section is completely gone. So I can't really see what's going on. Let me see if I can. Okay, just came back. Sweet. But for me, I thought Daniel Jones showed a ton of fight in this game, man. That offensive line was playing horrid. But I talked to The Beard about this off air as well. You know, a lot of the time when you talk about offensive line play, the best thing that can help out your offensive line when they're struggling is a decisive quarterback, which also I will add a little bit of an asterisk to is some of that falls on the game plan that comes from the offensive coordinator and the head coach. When you look at this game now, the Giants lost this game 23-16, and Cooper Rush played a hell of a game, but a lot of why he played a hell of a game had to do with Kellen Moore and the game plan that they instilled here. Very quick throws. They got the running game clicking early on in this game. The kid was not touched. 0 sacks from the Giants defense, 0 takeaways. Now
2 pressures, that's it.
2 pressures. It's god awful. And we just got our edge rushers back. We're thinking like, hey, Kayvon Tibbs coming out here for his first game. Azeez Ojulari, there's going to be a greater impact on the edge. And you did see Jihad Ward still out there. All night, the Giants struggled to seal the edge. Now, you know, I want to stick to the quarterback position here just for the beginning of this. Now, Jones was sacked 5 times on 42 dropbacks. He was hit 12 times. He rushed for 78 yards on 9 carries, averaging 8.8 yards per carry. Now, we definitely can say this about Daniel Jones. The kid does not lack no effort. He is out there trying his damnedest to try to get this team to win. He plays well when he's down 7. I hammered some of these points on a Giant overreaction earlier, and shout out to everybody that pulled up, man. That was just a great vibe on that show, man. We had over 100 people in the building. But, you know, it's like at the quarterback position, I think that these are the things that we're trying to assess But it's so hard to assess this when you have the lack of talent around Daniel Jones. Now, I do want to bring his stats up on the screen just so everybody can see what Daniel Jones did through the air as far as his statistics go. 196 yards, 20 of 37, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. The QBR. Oh, and we didn't talk about Carson Wentz QBR.
It was 11. It matched his jersey number, right?
That was very bad. That was Carson Wentz against the Jaguars.
That was Sharknado-esque.
Very Sharknado-esque. Now, in this game, Daniel Jones had a QBR 41.6, which was a tick up from what he had last week. Last week, he was at 37. So for me, it's like we're starting to see what Daniel Jones is. Even with a bad team, he can still play decent ball and play average ball across the board. Now, when things start to go extremely left on him, in the past, we've seen Daniel Jones kind of collapse under the pressure. But I think the first 3 games of the season, Daniel Jones has been doing a pretty decent job being under extreme pressure. The adjustment that the Cowboys made in the second half when they had number 6, I forget who it is, but they had him quarterback spying Daniel Jones, to me, was the adjustment that won them the game. We were driving down there on that second to last drive, and, Daniel Jones is just running for his life on 3 straight pass plays. The third one ends up being a intentional grounding. And shout out to Monique. She was asking me about the rules. I love when people are intrigued about the rules like that. She was asking me, well, how come that one was an intentional grounding and some of the other throws that he did weren't intentional grounding? And I was kind of telling her about some of the rules, like, you got to get the ball past the line of scrimmage, got to be a wide receiver in the vicinity. If you get out the pocket, you just got to get the ball past the line of scrimmage pretty much, and things like that. But I just think that Daniel Jones was doing a pretty decent job. But I think Colin Cowherd has a good point here. When you look at the Giants' offense, it don't matter really what's going on. Can you score touchdowns? And Daniel Jones right now, he's not scoring touchdowns like that. We're now 3 halves of football, 3 first halves of football that the Giants have not put up 7 points. We don't have a touchdown in the first half of any one of our games. Now, not only in the first 3 games, this dates back to last season. 7 consecutive games now, the Giants have not scored a first-half touchdown. I don't care what's going on up front. This is where I agree with Colin Cowherd. I don't care what's going on up front. I don't care how many wide receivers are dropping passes. I don't care what's going on. You got to find a way to put up 7 on the board in this day and age of NFL football from the quarterback position. He continues on to talk a little bit more. I didn't want that clip to run too long. He continues to talk a little bit more about drops in that segment, right? And he says, if you look at the quarterbacks who have been dealing with the most drops in the NFL, you will not believe this. In the last 4 years, take a wild guess who you think the quarterback is that's dealt with the most drops in the NFL in the last 4 years.
Patrick Mahomes.
Did you already know that, or are you guessing?
No. It
is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Who's number 2?
Josh Allen.
Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
So let's be real. So you did see that. You saw that stat.
I didn't see it. I just know that because I didn't see that stat recently, but I remember that from last year when they were talking about the Chiefs' struggles and Patrick Mahomes, and people were like, "Oh, has the league figured out Patrick Mahomes?
Right.
And is Patrick Mahomes coming back to earth?" That was something that was mentioned in
for me,
Patrick
bro,
Mahomes' defenders.
that when I heard Colin talking about that floored me because I like to talk about the drops from the wide receiver position a lot, and I say this is my motto at wide receiver. You're going to drop some passes. It happens, right? Mm-hmm. Are you making plays? CeeDee Lamb dropped a major one in this game, an easy touchdown for him. He said he took his eye off the ball because he was trying to cut it up, worried about the defender on his hip. You drop passes like that and you don't make up for that later on in the game like CeeDee Lamb did. I mean, the left-handed one-handed catch is beautiful.
Great catch.
Now, Shannon Sharp brought up a good point, too, today on Undisputed. It's a great catch, right? But this is what he said. How many number 1 wide receivers don't make that catch?
20%.
I wouldn't even say 20%. I'd say maybe if you ain't making that catch, you're probably not a number 1 wide receiver. It almost seemed like he didn't have to go up with one hand. He used his body, I think, to kind of shield him. So he used that right arm and the shoulder, as a shield in a way, and then you just go up with the left and you get it. But I think it's a great point. It's like, you don't like that throw it's a perfect throw from the quarterback position. Most of the time you see fade routes, these guys get a lot of air under the ball. And Skip was talking about this too. He put it on a rope so that the defender couldn't even get his head turned and forced CeeDee Lamb to just use his athletic ability to just make the play. Now,
and that was from the 1 yard line, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you have to. That has to be like a do. Like
it does, but
play.
it's a timing route. Because this was the warm up route when I played quarterback. You say hike and you throw it. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you put it on an arched trajectory to hit the back pylon so that the wide receiver can go run underneath it. the wide receiver's faking off the line. The whole thing about a fade on the goal line is you're trying to fake slant. So you give him that jab step like you're going to give him the slant, and then you just hit the pylon. By the time you taking the jab step, the ball is normally in the air. With the one that Cooper Rush threw, he kind of waited a second, and then maybe that's why he put it on a rope, because he waited that little half a second more. The pass is perfect. CeeDee Lamb comes down with the catch. Shannon Sharp went on to talk about this too. He said, with CeeDee Lamb, he's just another guy. Yeah, he made that catch, but to me, he's a guy who consistently drops the ball. He brought up a stat that I'm paraphrasing this, and I might be wrong on this, but he said before that, it was 8 straight games with no touchdown. He said it was 8 straight games without 100 yards at the wide receiver position. And then I think it was 4 straight games without a touchdown from CeeDee Lamb or something like that. And that don't sound like a number one to me either. I do think that they're suffering from not having Amari Cooper over there, because when you had Amari Cooper, you had the 1A, 1B type of thing, which that means that your number one wide receiver doesn't necessarily got to be a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans. You don't need that number one true wide receiver. It's almost like if you have running back by committee type of vibes, all the running backs, they don't have to be that great as long as they're doing their job and they're getting some chunk yards on the ground. So for me, man, in this game, to me, that difference was Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush outplayed Daniel Jones, but I think it also is relying upon the game plan that Kellen Moore instilled in this game. Now, when I went on William Steele's show on Friday, I went and chopped it up with him on A to Z Sports with him, and he mentioned this right off the bat. He was like, he kind of agreed with Skip Bayless about Cooper Rush not being a drastic drop-off. Everybody in his chat community was telling me, like, I told them the score was going to be 20-17 Giants, and they were just like, there's no way that the Giants are going to score 20 points on us right now. You got to look at this defense. You got to look at how they only allowed 1 touchdown to Tom Brady through the air, 1 touchdown from Joe Burrow through the air. There's no way that Daniel Jones is going to be able to put up no 2 touchdowns in this game. So you telling me Saquon Barkley or somebody's going to score all the touchdowns? I was kind of like, I didn't know really what to say. You know what I'm saying? But what he also told me about was the person who could really break this game open is the punt returner for the Dallas Cowboys, the kid Turpin.
Such a crucial play in that game.
We kind of bottled him up throughout, and then that play to me was the momentum shift, because 100%. Now you put the Cowboys right in scoring range. It happened right when Cooper Rush had already driven them down the field and scored 7. Daniel Jones goes and answers, and now you get that big play. It's putting the Cowboys in position to be able to just get an easy touchdown on the board, guaranteed field goal on the board. Cooper Rush did everything he had to do in this game, and this is back-to-back games now that he had 31 attempts, I believe it was. He had 19 completions last week and now 21. QBR took a little bit of a hit, just a little bit in this game, but I think if you get that big play to CeeDee Lamb, now you're looking at numbers closer to the 300-yard passing mark and 1 touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns on the day, and these numbers that you see in front of you. He surprised the hell out of me. And it made me think about Daniel Jones in that statement from Colin Cowherd. Like, is he a guy that, like, if you present him with what Cooper Rush was presented with on Monday night, that he's going to be able to light it up? Probably. But when you got things going wrong and everything is not perfect, he's going to be, I don't want to say average, but he's not going to be able to make those plays that get you over the hump to win games. In this game, his team let him down. This game's not on Daniel Jones. The team just let him down on this one completely, man. Evan Neal was getting beat up all day on that side. Daniel Bellinger not doing a good job chip blocking on that side. I talked about a lot of these points on a Giant overreaction. And the defense, that we've been accustomed to the first 2 weeks to really hold us down until we get into the second half, they really weren't the same. They still played a bend, don't break type of style, which I can deal with. But defensively, they didn't handle business, but they gave us a shot to win that game. So big respect to the defense, because 3rd and 7, everything on the line, they make a stop, and now you're looking at 4th and 2. Honestly, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I think I would have went for it, bro. I know it ended up working out for them. You get the next possession where David Sills slips on I believe it was a 2nd down maybe. He slips on the play. Daniel Jones throws that interception right to Trayvon Diggs, a gift-wrapped interception because David Sills falls on the ground. And to me, David Sills, he shouldn't be in the game in a clutch moment like that. But the only reason why that's happening is because the drive before that, our $74 million wide receiver, Kenny Galladay, he's dropping an easy 3rd down conversion where it hit him right in the breadbasket. And this guy don't even know how to get his hands around. You don't catch passes like this, man. You catch passes like this, bro.
Yeah.
And I love that when you come in like from the outside wide receiver position and you break in on a slant or you break in on a skinny post type of vibe. On that one, it was like a skinny post because it was 3rd and kind of long. you got to open up, bro. You got to turn that shoulder, and I love catching passes like that. For me, the hardest catch in football is the over-the-shoulder one where you got to get it with both palms. Those are the most difficult catches. The post routes, I love those. That's why the 7 route is my favorite route. The 8 route is my second favorite route, but the reason why I don't like the 8 route as much is because you got to run it towards the safety normally. And, Awthentik, I'm like $160 soaking wet pretty much. So it's like I'm not trying to go across the middle and get, see me on ESPN jacked up or something like that. So for me, man, Kenny Golladay, you got to find a way to step up. In this game, Sterling Shepard goes down on that last play that David Sills fell down. And he, just a freak accident injury, tears his ACL. Reports came out this morning that it's over for Sterling Shepard for the year, which might mean that it's over for him for his career. Knowing the kind of guy that he is, I don't think he's going to hang up the cleats. I think he's going to try to get back. These guys have had football in their life, their whole entire life. So, you can't just give up on the game. It reminds me of the Odell Beckham injury, man. And Odell Beckham, he's working on trying to get back out there and, add some more to his legacy as well. And I hope that Sterling Shepard is not finished. I hope he can get back. But this is going to be an alarm for teams to kind of stay away from him, that the dude gets hurt every year. And it's unfortunate when something like that happens where you literally just barely a part of the play. You just kind of slowing down, jogging, and then you end up getting hurt. So for me now is I'm going to bring this question up right now. I brought this one up on the Giant Overreaction. And this one is from Jordan Renan, who was talking about the wide receiver core. And for those of y'all that missed it, I kind of want to present this to y'all too, because I thought this was a great topic to talk about, which is the Giants' answer at wide receiver is going to have to come from within. No Odell Beckham Jr., that isn't happening. No established vets who are going to cost money. The Giants are cap strapped. So this is from Jordan Renan earlier today. I agree with a lot of this, and I said I agree with this because for the next few games here, you got to see what the Giants can do against a team like the Bears. Can you go out there and win a game that you're supposed to win with a banged-up wide receiver core? Can we get Kenny Golladay involved in this game plan, or is it a wrap for him? I'm really not sure. But right now, he's playing awful. After talking all that smack this week about how he's supposed to be on the field, he should be on the field at all times. Well, in this game, you made it an easy decision for the coaches to go, okay, you dropped the third down conversion on the drive before the last one. Well, we're going to go with David Sills on this last drive. And I think David Sills now, he proved to you that he really don't belong out there on these pivotal situations where the Giants are going to need points. Those cornerbacks were playing off David Sills and Kenny Golladay at 12 yards. Some of that got to go on the game plan and on the offensive coordinators too. I talked about this a little bit on the overreaction. Why are we not throwing a short audible route right off the bat? Beard, if I see you out there, you're not even the fastest guy, so it's a great comparison, right? Why wouldn't we do a hot route if I see Trayvon Diggs off the ball? He was off the ball 12 yards at times in this game. Why aren't we doing a hot route one-on-one to Kenny Golladay? It'll get you 4 yards. It'll get you, at bare minimum, if he's 12 yards off the ball, it'll get you 4 yards. The other thing that the Giants did not capitalize off of on this game, is the aggression of a Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs was first in takeaways from the secondary in interceptions last year, right? He was third in yards allowed.
The double move is Trayvon Diggs' weakest. That is well known. You have to run the double, and you know how you do that too. You start with those short routes that you're talking about.
Right.
He's 12 yards off, so you keep throwing those intermediate routes in front of him, right? And then third quarter, double move. That's your opportunity, And what's really interesting too is, I'm not a big fan of Troy Aikman and Buck, right? I'm not the biggest fan of their commentary, right?
Well, what is it about them that bothers you though?
I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I've never really been a Buck guy to begin with. And it's just,
you know what I think people overlook in broadcasting? The voice.
Yeah.
Both of them got the voice to me. That's why they do what they do. And then Troy Aikman, from the experience of being a quarterback, I like his takes on it. Maybe the tandem with him and Joe Buck kind of get on people's nerves, but I don't mean to be like dogging nobody on our show. That's really not my vibe. But a lot of the reason why I can't watch First Take is because of Molly's voice. It don't even got nothing to do with her takes or nothing like that. It's her, when they get to a point where things get heated and she starts screaming, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
But
the thing is that's interesting is I thought Troy Aikman said something during that game that really stood out to me. And he said, and this is an exact quote, he said, they're not paying him to play, they're paying him to catch. Facts. And I thought I'm watching the game and I heard that and I'm like, whoa, it's it sucks because that's the fact. And it's like, you can talk about all the play all you want, but if you're going to play, you got to make those catches. And that really stood out to me. And it's so true. And then I started thinking, I'm like, how many snaps did Darius Slayton play in this Darius?
I don't got the exact snaps,
Slayton
but it
play?
wasn't many. When Richie James got a little banged up and he came off the side, he went to the sidelines. I saw Darius Slayton go in the game. I don't think he had any targets in this game though. I can look it up right now. I got the box right in front of me.
So are we talking Slayton? Is Slayton gonna have to be the guy? Because listen, now
Slayton,
you're down
0
Shep.
Targets.
You're down Shep now. You said how many snaps?
I don't know
I'm
if
sorry?
it's Slayton or not. You're definitely gonna have to bring somebody up. The obvious candidate I would think is one of these new guys they signed, or maybe you bring back a guy like Alex Bachman, but I don't think he fits that role. My suggestion would be to maybe move Richie James out to the outside a little bit because I think he can do a bit of everything. He does punt return. They can use him on that exact kind of route I'm telling you about, where when you see that corner off 12 yards, you could easily run a hitch to Richie James. He's going to get you 4 or more. He's a punt return kind of specialist guy who can make people miss. And then maybe when Wan'Dale Robinson gets healthy, you bring him back and put him in the slot and utilize Kadarius Toney in the slot. At the beginning of the year, Kadarius Toney was listed as an outside receiver. He wasn't listed as our slot. So I really don't know what they're going to do. But
he's going to have to be the guy.
He's going to have to be the guy. But, man, so far, bro, it's like the injury thing is just it's unreliable at this moment in time. I think you got to find a way to scheme Kenny Golladay in this. And just like I said earlier, take a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles book, run that RPO, rely on the run more. The Giants only having 11 runs in the first half with Saquon Barkley through 2 weeks is not enough. It's not
14
enough.
14 carries in this game. Saquon Barkley is and should be, has to be, and hopefully this is, I understand, you don't want to overuse it. He has to be, in my opinion, for this offense to be successful, he has to be a 20-plus touch guy. And I know if we're talking touch,
he's right around that mark. He's at 18 touches in this game.
So maybe 20 rushes and 25 touches. You need
the other running backs to step up too, though, because Matt Breida only had 1 carry in this game, and it was that was the only hot play that I saw from Daniel Jones all night. And he called a hot read, and he told Breida, come in motion, and then they handed it to him on a jet sweep, and we picked up the first down away from Micah Parsons. I love that. But when you're looking at, I've been talking about we need another good running back for 3 years now, right? Because Saquon Barkley, to me, needs to be utilized like how the Saints utilize Alvin Kamara. I'm so redundant on that, right? And Alvin Kamara never had 1,000 yards. He's usually around about 18 touches a game. So 18 is fine if you got some other guys out there, maybe Matt Breida or Gary Brightwell touching the ball. But Gary Brightwell has 0 carries in this game. Matt Breida only 1 carry for 3 yards. And Richie James on a 1 carry, he had 4 yards. It's just not enough. I think you can deal with Saquon Barkley having 14 for 81 and 4 receptions in a passing game. And I think you can be effective, and that can actually win you games. But where is the other threat going to come from? That's the thing. When they start shutting down Saquon Barkley and they had a lot of people stacked up in the box, okay, then what are we doing? This is why I'm saying you got to take a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles book. Start running that RPO. They had 8 people in the box. Read it. If you see that the defenders come down, have Golladay coming in on a skinny post or on a quick slant and hit them with it. We're not trying these simple routes, but the offense is very simple. Oh, and I'm going to upload something here because I definitely want to show you something here.
While you do that, I do want to address 2 things really fast. First thing, the second part of this quote, right, where he's saying no established vets who are going to cost money. Giants cap strapped. Yeah. If you're a vet wide receiver right now and you're not on a team, you ain't getting the money, period. So I don't know. That kind of hit me a little weird. Like, if you're a vet and you're a free agent right now and you want to play football, you're not going to be like, I'm not going to come play for, you know what I'm saying, a certain amount of money. That's something that kind of hit me a little bit.
It might be, though. Think about like a guy like some great suggestions that I got from people in the chat on the Giant overreaction. Will Fuller's going, but I think he'd be a bit banged up a lot, right? But let's say like a T.Y. Hilton. I don't think T.Y. going to come over here on a team that's not looking like they're going to make a big run and take a pay cut of what he's not worth. I don't think he'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, T.Y. Hilton, though, he's retired. He had so many, those injuries hurt him towards the end of his career. Yeah. I mean, listen, he says no OBJ. Like, it sounds too crazy to be true, right? But I wouldn't count it out. I feel there's something weird there. I wouldn't count it out.
These injuries would have had to happen in about 3 or 4 weeks, I think, for it to be a thought for OBJ, because he's not going to be ready to play ball until probably the first week of November.
Yeah. And the other thing is, too, is You talked about 0 touchdowns in the first half, right?
Yeah.
One of the moments in this game where I thought Daniel Jones played excellent football in this game, considering everything. Okay. He looked more comfortable than I think I had ever seen him under pressure before. Yeah. And I saw him do things. I saw him make some great throws. I saw him, use his feet properly and get first downs. And like you said, there's never lack of effort with him. But when the Giants ran, and I've been saying this for years with Dwayne Haskins and Daniel Jones when they both came in the league at the same time, Daniel Jones always looks best to me when they're running the hurry-up offense. And I think that it would be interesting, and I think it would be smart if the Giants come out against the Chicago Bears, and I probably should have saved this for Thursday, but I'm going to throw it out now.
No, that's all good. I'm glad you brought that up.
I want them to start the game with a hurry-up offense.
Now, they did run the hurry-up offense a good bit in this game.
They did. And maybe that has to be with why he looked so much more comfortable to me in my eyes.
You have to find a way to sustain the drives when you're doing that, because
Very
if
true.
you don't, you're literally not using any of the clock, and that's a bad thing. Now, as an NFL quarterback, y'all kill me if you want, you're supposed to look comfortable under pressure. Let me tell you a very average quarterback who looks extremely comfortable under pressure. He plays for the Carolina Panthers. That Bama Baker be wheeling out of that pocket, and he's looking down the field the whole time. He never looks scared. He never looks scared of pressure. He takes hits. He takes sacks. He's never in the pocket like, oh, God, I'm all shaky. Yeah. There was a couple of plays early on in this game from Daniel Jones where when he went to go climb the pocket, I was looking at his feet. I was like, this dude looked like he got 2 left feet, bro.
Pitter-patter. He was doing the pitter-patter.
It was awful looking. But then as the game kind of went along, you saw him settle in a little bit. But I always say this, too, like Daniel Jones plays best when his back is against the wall and when he's down by 1 score. The opposite of a guy like Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, you get him down by 10, it's a wrap for that guy. He's going to start throwing interceptions, forcing stuff, trying to extend plays, kind of like Wentz, what Pat McAfee was saying about Wentz when Wentz starts wincing, trying to not just live to the next play, and then you start to get yourself into bigger mistakes and things like that. But this is the chart that I wanted to bring up real quick about Daniel Jones. Just look at the next-gen passing chart right here. Look at this real quick. There was nothing down the field. You got 3 throws that breached 20 yards in the entire game. Nothing breached 30 yards. Why? Because this offensive line was being destroyed all day long. And when an offensive line is getting destroyed, it's exactly why Jason Garrett had to revert to doing all comebacks all the time and all these short routes that are short of the sticks that people are just so frustrated with. Because you don't get the time for your wide receivers to get the depth to be able to get down the field. That's just what it is, right? Now, this Cowboys defense, they didn't help us with that. They were literally putting the pressure on Daniel Jones all day. And I know you probably got some nuggets. I'm going to run through about 5 nuggets right here on this one, okay? Cowboys defense, let's start with DeMarcus Lawrence. 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 6 tackles. He was lined up against Evan Neal for the most part of the day. He was whooping Evan Neal's ass. Let's keep it real here, okay? The Cowboys lead the league right now in sacks in the NFL. They have 13 sacks. That's number 1 in the NFL. They're number 1 in quarterback pressures with 49 pressures through 3 games. They had like 20-something pressures in this game. They had 24 pressures is the most by any team in a game this season. 40% of the time the Dallas Cowboys are getting pressure on the quarterback. That's second in the NFL right now. They held 3 straight opponents under 20 points, 2 passing touchdowns allowed in 3 weeks, man. The Cowboys, this is another little nugget I found, too. Dating back to when Dak Prescott was there, 2017, and if you remove the season where Dak got hurt in 2020, where the Cowboys finished, I believe, 6-10 or 5-11 it was, the Cowboys are 20-4 within the NFC East. And this is why when I, having them conversations with Entertainer where he's like, yeah, give Dak all the money. Dog, Dak is 9-2 against the Giants. Half of those wins of the 20-4 is coming against my Giants. Not a good look. And now Jalen Hurts is looking like a guy who might make a run at an MVP here. I don't want to see Jalen Hurts get a contract extension, okay? I'm telling you, don't fall for the smoke, okay? And the one thing also that we cannot forget to talk about during this segment here is Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard. Yeah. These statistics this is why they won the game for real. Game plan, coaching, and the running game destroyed us. What did I talk about on the preview show? I said, man, look, I know they ain't been running it a lot this year, but the zone runs outside of the tackle when the Cowboys play against the Giants, They literally destroy us with this. There was a game where they literally on the right side 2 years ago, every run just went off right tackle. Every run. And Zeke just piling, eating soup, okay? Now, in this game, you got 178 yards by the two of these running backs, averaging 6.5 yards per carry. Bro, that's a first down every 2 touches and some. 28 attempts, 1 touchdown. They really held it down. And I think this is the bread and butter that Cowboys fans want to see. Ezekiel Elliott setting the pace with the physicality in his running style, and then Pollard coming in. I looked at Pollard's. I was looking for some pictures for the graphic here, and it showed his like profile picture with his helmet off, and I'm like, dude looks like he weighs about as much as me. But then you see him on the field, his arms are ripped. He's just like one of those strong runners. This is exactly what you want to see if you're a Cowboys fan here. Pollard had 105 yards on 13 carries, and he had that game long of 46 yards. He's the second back in as many weeks to run for more than 100 yards against the Giants. Carolina's Christian McCaffrey did the exact same thing. He had 102 yards. So now we're looking at 2 back-to-back 100-yard rushers against the New York Giants. So we got to find a way to figure that out. I know Leonard Williams was not here for this game, and he's a big part in stopping the run. But it seemed like Dexter Lawrence was extremely quiet in this game. You know, I just didn't hear his name too much on the broadcast. And the big momentum shift in this game for me, it happened on special teams, man. That whole thing with that punt return, man. And thank God our kicker, he made a great tackle. Our punter made a great tackle on that, man. Flipped him over and whatnot. But, you know, I think that a lot of fans were thinking, hey, you draft Thibodeau, you draft Neal. Oh, my God, this is a smash. These guys are pro-ready. Well, 3 weeks into the season, one of them's been hurt. Another one has struggled quite a bit. So we got to go back to the drawing board, just like you said. The one thing I liked about this defense and about the whole team, they showed some fight, bro. They showed a lot of fight, man.
That's all coaching staff, too. I think if there's anything, I know how easy it is to get negative, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a Washington Commanders fan. So, like, I told Awthentik, you know, before we started this show, there's so many similarities week in and week out between these two organizations and teams. Not necessarily organization. You know, we deal with a lot of bit more, obviously, but you know, there's a lot of similarities, and it's tough, you know, but you guys finally have a direction. I feel like you nailed the hire at the head coaching position. And I think, you know, in turns also with the general manager. And I think that it's an immediate difference in the way that the players are playing on the field. And you're going to have some bad apples, and I'm not trying to say that Kenny Galladay is a bad apple, but he might not necessarily be responding the same way as some of the other players are to the new regime. And I don't want to always just throw that out as not a chance. There's still a chance that Kenny Galladay comes around and things work out, you know? You have to have some sort of optimism there. But I think that that's something you do have to be encouraged by and happy about is how much of a difference the team fights underneath this new regime. And also, I do want to give a big shout out to BK23 with a $4.99 super chat. Says, have you seen a quarterback with the worst wide receiver core than DJ? He's in 5 years on the Giants, and what was Allen without Diggs? And look at Tua with real weapons.
He makes a good point about that. I'll tell you what Josh Allen was without Diggs. He was raw. He was untapped talent, but he was still scoring a ton of touchdowns with a bad offensive line and no running game. Let's be realistic here. The completion percentage for him, I always keep him off the top. It was 52 the first year, and then it jumped up to 59 the second year before Stephon Diggs got there. Josh Allen was competing the whole time with scraps on that offense, straight up. What was the wide receiver core before Stephon Diggs got there? Was Emmanuel Sanders there?
I think he was there. The year. He might have been there 1 year without.
Right. And then they had Cole Beasley, right? Or was Cole Beasley
Robert Woods?
Robert Woods might have been there. And I'm trying to think who else was over there. Yeah, the wide receiver core wasn't as bad as ours for sure, but Josh Allen just different. You know, I just got to keep it funky with y'all, man. Josh Allen just different. He's been scoring touchdowns with his legs. He's doing things out there on the field. They knew that when they got him a number one, it was Rap City right off the bat.
That's why they went out and did it.
Yeah, that's why they had to do it. It's a great trade, man. I wish the Giants would have did something like that and brought in somebody like a Stephon Diggs because he's a game changer. He's the kind of wide receiver that changes the game. Now, as far as wide receiver cores that look worse than the Giants, I would go with the Texans when Brandon Cooks got hurt in Davis Mills' rookie year. Who else was out there? I know you got a boy over there. You used to
Nico
get down.
Collins.
Nico Collins from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, all right, spot on. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, Nico Collins, Will Fuller wasn't out there. He was suspended. They had scraps at the wide receiver position until Brandon Cooks got back. I mean, they didn't look great. They only won 4 games. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like you got to find a way to just move the chains, man. With the bad wide receivers or not, all these guys are NFL caliber. I'm not saying like, yo, these guys are great. But you do got a guy in Sterling Shepard before the injury who does some decent things. Richie James is doing some decent things. But this the same story with the New York Giants again and again and again, time after time. It's the injuries, man. But I just don't want to blame it on that no more. I really don't. I don't want to keep saying, yo, these guys getting injured, man. Teams got to find a way to deal with injuries. What about Tom Brady's wide receiver core with the Bucs this past weekend?
Bashard Perryman, Russell Gage, Cole Beasley off the street caught a pass.
Literally off the streets. Fresh out the studio making raps about COVID, went and put on a uniform.
And he did that Cole Beasley route, and it was poop money.
Yep. And I saw watching the game with Mo on Sunday, the Bucs game. He was super frustrated, man. That offense is completely different when you don't got their weapons out there. So it's a drastic drop-off. And we do see that when you don't got the wide receivers out there, even the GOAT and Tom Brady, not faring too well. Not faring too well. You need some help for sure. Or you need an offensive coordinator that's going to scheme it open.
Yeah, and I mean, look, this is a great point right here.
Oh, my God. I mean,
now
he's got Duvernay doing some stuff, right? And he's got Bateman doing some stuff, but they're all young. And this is what I like about the Baltimore Ravens. They are looking for ways to bring in the talent. They lost Hollywood, but they figured out a way to replace it, to replace the productivity. Now, Lamar Jackson is just a different kind of beast. He's just different, man. This dude, you heard Colin in the clip. Those were the things that I thought Colin was spot on about, was the stuff about Lamar Jackson. Now, he does have a security blanket at the tight end position with Mark Andrews, and the offense is catered for him. They're literally building that offense around him. But I feel like Lamar Jackson can go out there. He's the only elite quarterback that don't need a number 1 wide receiver. Tell me something else.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see.
We
Right now,
we have to wait and see.
We got to wait and see. And I would say maybe peak Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's I think we totally forgot about those days in Houston. I mean, the year that we without when DeAndre Hopkins left.
Facts.
That was interesting. Monique, you can never say such things here.
I mean, that's just,
not allowed.
Do you see the angles that Lamar is throwing the ball? He's a quarterback that can do it all. That's what he is.
He's a quarterback that can run.
Yeah,
How about
he can
that?
do it all.
You got it backwards.
Knock on wood, the dude seems like he's not going to get hurt. His awareness as a runner is ridiculous. His awareness in the pocket when things begin to break down and how comfortable he is. Lamar Jackson is next level, man. It's so hard to gauge who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. When you got a Lamar Jackson, you got a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You got Justin Herbert out here doing things too. He's on the come up. I wouldn't put him right there with those 3, but with them 3, it's so hard. And then let Deshaun Watson come out here and start balling again. Those guys are in a class of their own, and it kind of reminds me of what we was talking about with Stan. Like, Stan wants that kind of unicorn quarterback. But what if you draft and you miss, and then you draft and you miss, and then you draft and you miss? You're going to waste a lot of years waiting on that unicorn quarterback. You better know you got that guy. Now, I do got faith in this coaching regime so far to be able to find that guy. But when you got a Kirk Cousins, or you got a Dak Prescott, or you got who else falls in that category of Jimmy Garoppolo's maybe a little bit a tier below that, or Jared Goff. I'm trying to think of some of the quarterbacks that are competing more.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson's not using his legs, he ain't the same quarterback.
No.
So for me, it's like I don't think you just wait for the unicorn quarterback to come around, but you do it exactly like the Kansas City Chiefs do it. You find a guy that can game manage properly and can win you some games, right? And then once you start to see the team elevate around that guy, you got to have that guy, the next guy in line is going to be the unicorn drafted, and have him ready to go. So when you make the transition, it's seamless. Let's not forget, Alex Smith had that Kansas City Chiefs team in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes comes in his second year and he throws over 50 touchdowns. There was no, we need to see him, underneath the system. None of that. It was like, this guy's one of the greats. After 1 year of football, we knew that Patrick Mahomes was going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks to probably ever play this game. So I think you gotta like you got to assess this the right way. It's the reason why now, beginning of the season, bro, I was saying like, yo, there's no way Daniel Jones is back. Then the Giants go 2-0. My thoughts completely start to change, because if the Giants can go like 8-9, 9-8, and show that they can compete, beat some of the teams that you expect them to beat, I don't know, man. Maybe you see Daniel Jones here for another year and another opportunity while they draft the quarterback and start to groom him and get him ready. And maybe if Daniel Jones falls flat on his face in 2023 and, you start off 1-5, then, hey, you bring in the rookie.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, we have to remember, I know it's cliche, but we have to remember that it's week 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to remember that we're now going into week 4, okay?
Yeah.
Week 4 and 5, I think, are your first pivotal turns in the season. Okay. Now, obviously, there's some teams that are already like it's tough sledding from here on out. The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. 0-3 now, right? Yeah,
they're the
tough.
only undefeated team, winless team in the National Football League.
Mm. And how many undefeated teams do we have left? We got the
2.
Eagles,
and the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins. That's it.
What's interesting is shout out Lord Brunson. He put out a tweet showing the standings for the NFC East. And he's like, this is kind of what everybody thought the AFC West was going to look like. And it's like, the NFC East looks like a lot better of a team than I think a lot of people, of a division I think a lot of people didn't anticipate. There is not one person, you'll have some diehard fans, obviously, but nobody had the Giants at 2-1.
Yeah, nobody had the Giants at 2-1.
They might be one of the biggest surprises of the season so far. Obviously the Dolphins being 3-0, I think everybody thought they were going to be improved, but I don't think anybody thought they were going to be 3-0. I mean, the Denver Broncos are off to a horrendous start. That Russell Wilson's having trouble, with that offense.
Squeak the win out. They squeak that win out.
And so that's the big thing too, is like when you're a team like the New York Giants, right? And you're you got a new coach, new system, a quarterback who's on the fringe of, is he going to be bad? Is he going to be good? Yeah. To be 2-1 and to win those games, those are the games that you have to win in order to give yourself a little bit of time to see if Daniel Jones is going to be able to develop underneath this coaching staff to the point where you can win games with Daniel Jones and not necessarily squeak by for a 2-1 record, because there's definitely points in this game where I think most of us thought that the Giants just might win this game.
137 left in the game, bro. I thought we were going to win. I thought Daniel Jones was going to drive down there and you were going to see his first remarkable comeback, and then Brian Dable was going to go for 2. That's what I thought.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what I was running through my mind. And listen, the Dallas Cowboys too. We can't forget about the Dallas Cowboys, because listen, everybody was like, "Oh, the season's over."
How did you answer that question when that
I said it was over.
Week 1 recap. You said
I said it was over. I said it was over. So I think, coaching, once again, I think this is the big difference between the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants and Washington right now is coaching. Because listen, as much as Mike McCarthy gets crap and definitely deserves it more times than others, he's doing a great job with the hand that he's been dealt right now.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of that, we talked about it too with the play calling. It's just, there's way more adjusting and adapting with everybody else in the NFC East than there is with Washington. Washington is just the same thing over and over and over again. It's like the definition of insanity. But, the Dallas Cowboys, Cooper Rush, you got to give credit where credit's due. They've done a fantastic job with keeping their heads above water. And, there's rumors that Dak may even be back this week. So,
yeah, we'll see how that goes, man. I see the chat is having a real interesting conversation on the side. Somebody presented, would you take a trade Saquon for Trey Lance? And then Bub said absolutely not. And I agree with him too, because Trey Lance is not ready to win yet, and now he's coming off a big ankle injury.
Yeah, you can't make
that's going
that
to be
trade.
tough.
That trade doesn't make sense. Saquon's contract is up at the end of the year. Is he restricted, unrestricted free agent?
I believe so, right? Yeah, because this is 5th season, 18, 19. Yep, 5th season. Yep.
Yeah, so you can't make that trade. No,
if it was 49ers don't need a what we could call him, like a true number one running back. They don't need that over there. They can get it done by committee. They already have some good running backs over there as well. And that trade just wouldn't make sense. Now, if you told me a quarterback that was actually on the up and up, let's say like a Herbert or something like that, coming off an injury, let's say at week 7, that they would make the trade. I mean, obviously we would do that, but I just think Trey Lance is no proof yet in the pudding yet. And I think he could be a good quarterback in this league, but small sample size. What was the saying that you had a couple shows ago? A large portion of the small sample size, whatever it was.
No, it's a small sample of a large sample size.
A small sample of a large sample size. Yeah, I still don't know what that means. It sound good though.
It sound good,
though.
right? Sound good
though. Yeah, it sound good, man. But yeah, man. I mean, moving forward, I think this week 4 for the NFC East is going to be extremely pivotal for all the teams, man. Washington cannot fall behind the rest of the teams and drop down to 1-3. That just can't happen. Now they're going to put you on that bubble of that team is not good, and y'all are going to actually give them reason to do that if you fall to 1-3. So I know for the Giants, man, it's super important. We can afford to take a loss more than y'all, but if we bump this up to 3-1, especially against a team like the Bears, it's going to be very important to go out there and get a victory. Actually, it's another home game for the Giants, too, a 3-game home stint that we got here.
This is a very interesting week. So correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So the Giants play the Bears. I think the Giants should win that game, even though the Bears are 2-1 somehow. Thanks, Texans. And Cowboys in Washington. And the Eagles have a tough matchup, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pulling it up right now. They're taking on
not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a tough matchup.
They're taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
that's going to be a good game. Is it in Jacksonville or is it in Philly?
It's in Philly. It's a 1:00 game, and that's
Doug Peterson comes back to Philly.
Yeah, but that's a good game. That Jalen Hurts, if he blows that team out, you know what's up. Like they're on that trend, continuously going up. They should handle the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars are a bit like they're a decent team, but they're a tick under the Detroit Lions are right now. I'd see, and I mean, y'all took care of business against the Jaguars, and you saw what the Eagles did to y'all. I don't like to do those kind of comparisons too much because the matchups are going to be different, but I'd see the Eagles taking care of business over there. And then they got the Cardinals after that.
Man, the Eagles. That's the other thing, too, that's tough as a Washington fan, is a lot of people compare the years of rebuild for the Eagles with Washington, and then they say the Eagles are light years ahead. I mean, they made some great. You want to hear what's really scary about the Philadelphia Eagles? I think they're like $36 million of cap space after next year and 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't got to spend 30% of your cap on a quarterback, man. You get a second-round guy like that, they're paying him. I think Jalen Hurts' contract was $6 million. Like, dog, what? They are set up right now. They got Devonta Smith on a rookie contract as well. I mean, they're set up. They're definitely set up. And just a year ago, they were entering the year, and everybody thought they were going to be the worst team in the NFC East. Philadelphia has definitely turned it around.
There were people that were saying, remember when we started last year, there were people that were saying that the Eagles might be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. And then they used excuses later on, like, oh, their offensive line's the reason why Jalen Hurts is doing this, da-da-da. Come on, man. You got to just open up your eyes and just use your eyes. Jalen Hurts is a gamer. Dude's a baller. Speaking of just getting the ball in the end zone and doing whatever you got to do, pretty or ugly, Jalen Hurts is the definition of that. Red zone maniac. That's what I've been calling him. And shout out to Lord Brunson because it's really looking like it's Hurts season right now, for real.
Yeah. And shout out to the Beard. Because I remember way back when.
Yes.
I was telling everybody, I said, this guy, Jalen Hurts, and I remember having the conversation with Bad Dog because Bad Dog loves him some Oklahoma football. And if you're listening, Bad Dog, because I saw Bad Dog pop in Giant Overreaction earlier. He's I can't. He's like, I'm sneaking in at work.
Yeah.
But shout out to Bad Dog. But yeah, so I just it's going to be an interesting week. I'm excited to break these games down, Fast and Furious style. Thursday night. We got a good Thursday night game, I think, this week.
Let's see what that one is before we get up out of here real quick. Thursday night football this week is it Dolphins Bengals? That sound about right?
It does.
Dolphins Bengals. And
Burrow.
Bengals are going to reveal that new helmet, the white helmet. I was talking with KB on Twitter earlier, and he said that the Giants should wear all white because all blue would look awful. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I showed him the Buffalo Bills color rush, and he was like, oh, kind of started kind of reneging, taking it back a little bit. But then he showed me the Cincinnati Bengals new color rush that's all white as an example of dope white uniforms. They're rocking the helmet that's like theirs with the kind of like tiger print kind of vibe, the Bengal print, but the helmet's all white with the black slashes on it now. It looks incredible.
I seen the autographed helmet like in that colorway.
Sick, man. It looks really good. It's kind of like your Washington one back there. It's like that pale white kind of. It looks really good, man. So looking forward to seeing what the Bengals do Thursday night matchup. That's going to be an awesome one, man. So make sure y'all pull up on us on Thursday, man, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be breaking down all the NFC East matchups, and we'll also dive into that Dolphins-Bengals matchup. I think the Dolphins probably going to handle business, but I'm going to look into it a little bit more, dig into those numbers a little bit, and see. I mean, Joe Burrow's kind of getting back. We talked about Joe Burrow getting, back right against the Jets this past week, and that's exactly what he did. He had 3 touchdowns in that game. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what they could do for the rest of the season. Was it a fluke? I've been that been the question lingering on my mind. I know you think the Bengals is really a legit squad, so we'll see what they do in that division, man. But I think that's going to be it here for this NFC East recap week 3, man. This was a solid one, man. We appreciate everybody pulling up. I know Entertainer was live during this one too, so all the Giants fans that pulled up, and showed up and showed out for us, man. That's awesome. 2 shows in one day. It's the first time I think may have ever done that. I don't know if we've ever had 2 shows in one day.
Okay, not 2 shows, but we did.
We had like an 8-hour stream.
Well, we've had some of those. Oh my goodness, some late night streams at the old.
When Washington lost the playoff game to the Bucks, we were live till like 4 a.m.
Yeah, and then there's been a couple of other, like we did a show, and then we did a broadcast. So.
Oh yeah, we've definitely done that where we done some play-by-play stuff. Man, I was talking to my girl about this, man. I want to get into some play-by-play for the Giants, man. I think I can bring some value to that portion of the community, man. So, with the graphics and the vibes, man.
I mean, just think about it like this. Is there anybody ever better in your mind? And we're just hearing the way that the 2 of us are, right? Awthentik, with his technicalities and his great voice and the way that he says some words, right? He's doing the play-by-play. But then I come in with the beardisms as the color guy. I mean, can you imagine me, the guy's running for a touchdown and it's just like, oh my God, go grab your donuts. Something like that. We need to line up and get into our attire, maybe put on, little blazer vibes for that play-by-play. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see, man. We'll definitely see. I definitely want to get off into some play-by-play or maybe doing like a late-night radio show. I was thinking about doing some midnight radio vibes. And y'all, make sure y'all stay tuned. We're trying to launch that this following week, man, the Banter with the Beard, man. That should be a real awesome vibe for the Commanders fans out there that kind of want to, vent and let out their frustrations like my Giants fans do on Mondays as well. Maybe we'll do like a simulcast or something like that where we do them at the same time. We'll see, man. But definitely appreciate everybody rocking with us today, man, on a Tuesday, man. We got like 4 or 5 hours of Awthentik and The Beard content headed your way. So if you missed that Giant overreaction, make sure you check that one out. If you missed this show and you're catching us on the repeat, man, let us know in the comments section what you thought about everything during this vibe, what you think about the quarterback situations with both teams. Until Thursday, man, we will see y'all. Y'all know what it is over here at Awthentik and The Beard, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living them damn dreams, man, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Shout out to my guy, Combat Jack. Rest in peace, Aisha. You know what it is. Sak Passe. We'll catch y'all on Thursday, man. Y'all be good, man. Enjoy your next couple of days. Should fly by. No victory week for the Washington Commanders. No victory week for the New York Giants. Get some good rest. We're going to need it, man. Big matchups on Sundays. We'll catch y'all on Thursday at 7 p.m., man. Peace. Peace.
Mike don't care.